Hey everyone, welcome back to ShePropTalk. I'm Beverly, and today's guest is Leah D'Andrea. Hey Leah, how are you?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
I'm really excited too. Everyone watching and listening, this is the other wasp, the one with the wings that move, the one that you all thought was me. It is her. And look right behind her. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Seriously, okay, so let's back up just a second because let's go back to Dragon Con where we met. This was what, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
We were both there. And did we debut on the same day, or were you there the day before me?
We debuted, I think, on the same day at the group Marvel shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is nice and confusing.
Well, and so right before that, I had gotten dressed and I went down to the photo booth that's on the bottom level of the Marriott. And I was standing there waiting to have my picture taken before going to the group, and somebody ran up to me and was like, "Oh my God, I've been following your progress online. You hand punched all of this leather, right?" And I'm
no.
That was not me. I don't know who you're talking about. Yeah, it was pretty hilarious to have to tell somebody, "No, I'm sorry, that's not me."
Oh my God. Well, yeah, I think I remember the first second I saw you, I think maybe 3 or 4 people were like, "Oh my God, look at her over there. Look at that. Oh my God. Do you know her? This is amazing." I think it was amazing for everybody except for maybe the Marvel folks that I was with. Because they had this whole photo thing and recording planned for that day. So yeah, we had to stay separated. So I couldn't even get to you to say hi, but I think, was it earlier that day when we were in the courtyard? I was trying to get over to you because I saw you and your wings were moving and you're amazing, and I just couldn't get over there. So
yeah. Well, and those places are crazy crowded as well. It's hard to just get to a water fountain sometimes.
Right. Yeah. That was my first Dragon Con, and that was insane. That was pretty crazy. But yeah, I want to go back. Oh, not this year.
next year. Yeah, we just, what was it, a couple of days ago, just got the notification from Dragon Con. They're like, "Yep, we're canceling. We're going digital this year." And I'm like, yes, it's a good idea. It's about time.
Yeah. I'm glad they finally made that decision for everybody. So it kind of makes it easier and safer for everybody too.
Yeah, and it gives the hotels the ability for everybody to avoid that crazy land grab in October and bump their reservations. God, that's a huge stressor off of our shoulders.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have a reservation, so I'm hoping that we can figure it out for next year. So we were going to be like, well, maybe if, one of the hotels around in the outside area has some space, we'll go for a couple of days. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
If the world is still around by then.
Everything's on fire. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back briefly to Dragon Con because we actually met for reals after meeting Evangeline Lilly, the actress that wears this costume, the Wasp costume. So we're talking about the Wasp, and if you have no idea what we're talking about, which Wasp, it's the Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp, the first female Marvel superhero character that had her own name on dual billing, which was really exciting. It was on Sunday at Dragon Con. We were both standing in line to meet Evangeline and get a photo op with her. And that was pretty funny. I insisted that after our photo with her, that we stayed and we waited for you to come around, because there was no way I was going to leave Atlanta without just completely going crazy over your wings, because they move. Mine do not move. I am the one that does not have movable wings. Mine were very stationary. But yours they actually move. You can push a little button and they go up, and then they flutter a little bit, right? And then they go down. Let me get fancy here, and I'm going to share that video. the video that everyone tagged me in, and I swear to God, I spent like 2 days being like, no, it's this person. Because your husband also worked on those, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken.
We've since gone and
Yay.
done a little bit of tweaking. I tried to do a version 2 of the whole getup for D23 last year, but right around the time that we met, I had just started a job at a new company. Well, the company's been around 30 years. I was new to the company. And since then, it's taken so much of my focus and so much of my time that I haven't really been able to focus as much on my personal projects as I would like. So I didn't quite get WASP 2.0 finished in time for the D23 Masquerade entry that I had been planning and had been accepted to. And I had to call them the day before and be like, yeah, no, my stuff's not done. And I'm not going to make it. So, but we took everything with us and still wore the wings around the convention floor. I just did it in space leggings and a PimTech shirt.
That's awesome.
We flew them all the way out there, might as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was, we may have focused more on the wings, but I still think your suit was put together better. Way better than mine. I did not spend the time on that I should have, but that's what 2.0 is for.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit, because when I met you at Jack and Con, you were like, oh yeah, I just like, put this together in the last like 3 or 5 days. And I think I stopped breathing completely because mine took like 4 months of nonstop. It's like, okay, A, I kind of hate you a little bit. B, whoa, that is amazing.
Well, okay.
A lot of emotions at that moment for me.
The sewing labor was 3 to 4 days. I missed out on most of the convention. Like when we went to the group Marvel shoot on that Saturday, that was the second time I had set foot out of the hotel room. I'm never doing that again. Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. That was enough people who helped us gather the materials and gather the research that I couldn't not finish. It became I have to finish it because so-and-so laser cut my leather, and I have to finish because this other friend got me all this great firsthand research from being on site. That's probably all I can say about that. Sure. And I didn't want to let other people down. And sometimes you just get in that tunnel vision headspace where you're like, nope, I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to finish it. Nutrition and hydration be darned,
Sure.
Never again.
Yeah.
So,
thank you for being there, because that was such a wonderful, cool moment to see another person that was just, I just loved your wings were just amazing. Yeah. And that was one of the things. I think the wings they weren't one of the last things that I worked on, but the suit was certainly something that I spent the most time on, just because it's not really, that level of sewing is not really my wheelhouse. I don't know that I can say that it is even now, because I feel like I can make anything in foam, and I feel pretty confident with that. But yeah, that wasp suit is, that was insane. And if you flipped my seams on that costume, I think you'd be like, what is this girl doing? Oh my God.
Yeah, my seams were totally unfinished as well. Yeah.
Well, good. Thanks for making me feel better about it.
Unfinished, and I ended up with a trachea bruise from the red piping digging.
Oh no. Oh God. Wow.
Yeah, so, no, don't even worry about it. So
well, I love that that with like costume cosplay, there's always like 1,000 different ways that you can make the same thing. And when we were standing there next to each other, it was like, oh my gosh, I had so much fun looking at how you had constructed everything. And that your different seam lines and everything. It was just awesome. A lot of it was like, oh, I should have done mine that way. That looks like that would have been like a much easier, or not easier, but like a smarter way to make that seam come together right there, or that kind of thing. So
and I did the same thing, because I started internet stalking your progress, and I was like, ooh, that's a skill I don't have. I want to learn how to do that. And so I have so many different chemical samples now. I have silicone samples, and I have tinting samples. Working at an animatronics company helps, because I was able to go to people there and be like, can you teach me how to do this? Because I need to make this red piping. Can you teach me how to do this? Because I have to make a carbon fiber backpack. Can you teach me how to do this so I can make plastic boobs? Like,
yeah, all the amazing. Oh
yeah,
my God.
I was working on a large scale puppet. Like 4 people go inside of this puppet, and it's in a parade at a theme park. Once that theme park reopens and starts doing parades again, it's over on your coast, down in Anaheim. That's also all I can say about that.
Okay.
And one of the foam fabrication leads from my department, I was like, hey, Serena, I don't know how to carve foam. Can you teach me how to carve foam? She's like, yeah, what do you want to learn? And I'm like, I need boobs. She's like, what? So I ended up making them and then did Warbler. I used them as a mold, and I did Warbler on top of it, and I brought them into work to show her, be like, look at what I did. I made these things. And one of the other guys on that same project held them up, and he's like, looks pretty good. For crying out loud.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So another guy taught me how to do carbon fiber.
So was that like for real carbon fiber?
It is.
Wow. Okay. Can you talk about that process at all?
Yeah. So
okay, because I know I have to preface this with you have your work capacity right now. You work on a lot of things, but you cannot talk about a lot of them. So
right.
you're gonna stop me if I ask you a question that you're not allowed to elaborate on. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So
let's talk about that carbon fiber.
So this is the backpack for Wings 2.0. Okay. Because I wanted something that went under the suit, that would, because the problem we were having with the first version and the leather suit was that everything shifts a little, and so trying to get a webbing harness to line up to the snaps on the metal frame was a giant pain in the rear end. And so this time around, I was like, you know what, I need something thin and strong. And so there was a guy in, I think, the assembly department at the time that used to work for the military making airplane fuselage. Yeah. And cool. So I was like, hey, can you teach me how to do carbon fiber? I will repair all of your clothing that has holes in it from work if you teach me how to carbon fiber. Awesome. And so we got together one weekend and just kind of, it's not perfect. You know, it's my first attempt at carbon fiber. There's a couple of little bubbles, but he had me buy, I can't remember the name of the stuff now. I made a foam positive. I painted it in like 7 layers of this hardening plastic stuff. And then I will get you the name later because I can't remember what it is right now. Okay. And I took that in and we used that as my positive. We did the release on it, and then just started laying carbon fiber down and brushing the Cabastil. That's terrible. I have it all written down in my notebooks at work.
Okay.
Started brushing all the layers on and then just smoothing the bubbles out. And we did a cross layer and smoothed the bubbles out and then did the final layer. So this is only 3 layers of carbon fiber, but it is quite rigid. And then I brought it home and we trimmed it out and smoothed it down and then drilled. And it's hard to see because, you know, black on black, but these are the female side of the Fidlock snaps I use to mount the wings to my back.
Okay.
These can hold up.
Sorry, what was that snap called again?
Fidlock?
Because I'm taking notes.
Absolutely. It's Fidlock.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Stealing your secrets.
Do it. It's a German brand, but there's a US manufacturer, and you can also occasionally buy one-offs off of people on Etsy, but they're magnetic snaps. So it's a directional release. You have to slide. There we go.
Oh yeah, I can see.
So it's like a U. You have to slide up to release it, but because it's magnetic, you can be just kind of in the vicinity and it pulls it in place.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And they have like buckle releases. They've got mini turn knobs. I'm actually making a Batu bound with a 1/4 turn Fidlock belt buckle so that I can have my hip bag with all my gear in it. But then when I go through security or get on a ride, it's just a quick little magnetic release to take it off and then put it back on. Because
oh my gosh.
I'm extra.
Wow. I bow to your extraness. Those things are awesome. Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
Cool.
they
Okay.
are. And each one of these holds about 44 kilograms, which is way overkill for my little 8-pound backpack. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, that
Overkill,
certainly
but it's worth it.
makes them secure.
Oh yeah. They're not going anywhere. Not going anywhere.
Cool. Okay. Well, we could even be done with this episode right now and be like, this is great. Thanks.
So much information.
Thanks, Leah.
Anytime. Anytime.
This is amazing. Okay. So carbon fiber harness underneath 2.0. How did you attach the 1.0? How was that attached?
It was the Fidlocks, but I had a harness made out of seatbelt webbing.
Oh, okay.
So
Underneath.
on the back,
Okay.
Yeah, it came up. I'm gonna have to stand up to demonstrate this because it
Okay.
came up over my shoulders, down between, and then wrapped around my rib cage, then went back up into. I had made a rectangle framework and stitched it all, but it it dug. It was not.
Yeah.
I did not put the thought into that, so I ended up with red marks all along here. Then the piping was digging into my throat, and
man. How heavy are those wings and that whole backpack unit?
With everything put together, I think it's only about 8 pounds.
Yeah.
Might be up to 10. And we, as I was getting this set up for today, Chris and I were talking about, do we really need 8 servos? Could we maybe downgrade that to 6? 8 seems like overkill. If we downgraded it to 6, everything could get a little narrower and a little more screen accurate. It never stops.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't. Yeah. I expect no less, especially with the two of you minds together. So can we talk briefly about that whole setup? So you're talking about servos. For anyone who doesn't know what a servo is, can you tell us a little bit about what that is all about? Just briefly.
Yeah, that might be a little bit more of a Chris question. I'm still learning a lot of the electronic stuff, but if my understanding is correct, and the internet will tell me when I'm wrong. Thank you, internet. A servo is more of a rotational power or a driven source. So you see, a lot of times we think of like motors where it's a push pull. I think I'm wrong, but we've got 8 servos on this, and they have 2 points each. So each wing has 2 servos. They have 2 points of motion. The first one being that they rotate up, and then the second one is the lateral rotation where it kind of looks like it flutters. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a rotational. I'm still learning. That's why I'm taking that job in controls, because I want to learn all this stuff.
Yeah, no, that's super exciting. Okay, so servos that makes them move, and then there's got to be a motor in there somewhere, some sort of like. I'm
pretty sure the servo is
the motor. Okay, yeah. All right.
I'm the worst. Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, listeners and watchers, go find out what a servo is, and
yes. Well, and so we started by. I do know that the motor controller we have in there is a Pololu Maestro. It's a $12 channel microcontroller. And because we've got 8 servos, each one of those is a different channel. So ostensibly, if we've got it hooked up to the computer, we could have one wing pop up and just kind of rotate. And that's why we were talking about downgrading to 6, is so that the top 2 wings have one servo controlling the up and down, and the bottom. Yeah, because we've got them programmed right now where when they're all up, the bottom 2, how do I demonstrate? The bottom 2 come down and slightly flutter to nest. And then only after that do the top 2 then come down and also slightly flutter in order to nest. Yeah.
Wow.
We need it's a lot. It's a lot. Chris does all the programming, because that's still over my head just a little. Well, a lot of it. I'm down here in the controlling stuff. Yeah.
You too, sister. That's why I do this podcast, so I can glean information from other people.
Learn all the things.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So how did you control? Do you know how you controlled it? I know, because
Yeah,
I know there was
so
a button somewhere on
mhm.
your forearm.
So version 1 had
Wrist.
the buttons in the wrist controller.
Mm.
But looking at that video, this is just distracting. So on version 2, we actually ran a different cable down and had a little pocket. In the suit, it was a little pocket, but since I didn't wear the suit, I kind of just taped them to my hip. Little membrane buttons so that I could like pose with a hand on my hip and have
Okay.
2 buttons on you can feel them a little bit through the pants. And so I
Okay.
had buttons hidden under my pants. But the first one, it was up, down, and to be determined. I had 3 buttons.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So was it like a Bluetooth kind of a thing?
No, we ran it with a serial cable. I'm paranoid about having Bluetooth on my person in a crowded setting because if it's unsecured, somebody who is feeling a bit like our favorite mischief god, they can come along and hook up to my Bluetooth and then just start opening and closing my wings willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And when they're 8 feet across, you can hit people with those and it's not safe.
Yeah.
So I always do a hard connection. Always do a hard connection.
For the LED lights inside my Wasp backpack, they were just like one of these regular controllers, and somebody in DragonCon, at least one person, was on the same frequency or something. I don't really understand. And so the colors that I needed were red, and they turned blue at one point or purple, and then they started blinking. And thankfully that only happened once. But yeah, I got back to the hotel room and I took everything off, and the lights were not synced together. Like I went to turn everything off, and it was like one of them was a different color, or it was like blinking or something. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was going to happen. So yeah, I've got a lot to learn. But again, that's what this podcast is all about. So I can learn all the things.
Well, and you know, when you're doing the LED lights, it's not like you had one of those scrolling LED signs where you can like program a word. So it's not like somebody could change you from saying Ant-Man and the Wasp to F-bomb and F-bomb and
Yeah. Beverly sucks.
Oh no.
What a joke. Cool. So you are still version 2.0 is still sort of a project that is happening. Awesome.
Yeah, with the COVID stuff and with some of the projects going on at work. Well, okay, let me backtrack. Up until very recently, we were still working towards getting everything ready for Star Wars Celebration this year. Chris is working on kind of a upgrade to his C-3PO that he built for the last celebration. He built a BB-8.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband is the director of technical design at the same company where I work. So I worked there for a year before he got hired, and he came in at like 3rd from the top. I was 3rd from the bottom. Yeah. Good time. That wasn't a blow to my ego or anything. So he's on a much different level with that, but he would tell you differently. He would tell you that he's just a hobbyist, and it's kind of the same thing. Like the people that I work with are so immensely talented, and their skill sets are also varied, that there isn't a day that goes by that I don't have severe imposter syndrome.
Oh, I can only imagine how stressful that is. I feel like everybody's dream is to work in that capacity, be paid for that kind of work. But I can only imagine how difficult that would be for your, to be surrounded by that much talent, like you're saying.
Yeah, but everybody is just so open and supportive and willing to teach. Their only caveat is like, if I teach you to do this, will you teach me how to sew? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is sewing was sewing where you started with creation and making?
Yeah. I started sewing when I was 15, which is a little longer ago than I care to admit. My 20-year high school reunion is supposed to be in August, but I think it's been canceled. So I started sewing when I was 15. I wanted to go to Renaissance Festival, and a friend of mine's mom taught me, because my mom's a physician. She can't sew a button.
She thinks she can.
Yeah. And so it didn't dawn on me that sewing could be a career path until I was in my early 20s. I made a episode 2 Padme costume. It was the purple velvet and had this copper headdress that comes off of the back of the head, very African inspired. And I made one of those and went to a convention in Denver and got talked into entering a costume contest, ended up winning in my category. And afterwards, people were like, do you study costume design? And I'm like, that's a thing? Yeah.
Amazing.
And so here I am. Yeah. It's very much a comedy of errors how I've gotten into this job. It was never the path that I thought I would be on.
Yeah.
But it's been a ride.
That's really great. And how awesome was that moment? Like you go back in time in your own life and think about those moments that really kind of pivoted things for you. And it sounds like that was that moment.
It really was.
For you.
Yeah.
That's
until
awesome.
that point, I had no idea what I wanted to do at all. I had gone to a private military school thinking I was going to go to the Naval Academy. I thought I was going to be a pilot, realized I was way too sassy for the military. I mean, it's nuts. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That sounds a little bit like a Carol Danvers, just a little bit.
That was before I even knew who Captain Marvel was. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was a rogue girl all the way. X-Men, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, cool. So let's continue on with the wing theme, because these are not the only wings that you have created. Mm-hmm. You also sent me a really cool video of some steampunk wings that you made. Let's see if I can share that screen.
So this was the Dragon Con Masquerade in 2012. Fun background on that. Chris and I had just gotten engaged the weekend before at the Star Wars Celebration that year. And we had been working on, there's Grant Imhara.
Yep.
Who's since become a friend of ours, which is awesome. I've run into him.
Oh, that's so neat. I have it on mute right now, if that's okay.
That's totally fine.
You can keep talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So I come out, the audience is silent because they're like, oh God, more steampunk. What is this? Okay, whatever. For quiet, she'll just get off the stage. And I'm like, okay, are you ready for this? Finger, wrist.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. And then they lost their minds.
They did. They
That is so
started
cool.
cheering.
Oh my gosh.
Wings back down. I turn around. And so then the back, you can see that it's all Waterjet cut aluminum. The gears are actually part of the motor drive. We've got flickering LEDs to make it look like it's candle powered. I go up to Grant and I'm like, push the yellow button. And he
loses
giggles.
His mind.
He does. It was so sweet. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. Bye.
Oh my gosh. That is so cool. Okay. Hang on. We're going to go back in time here of that. Maybe that'll work.
And these are currently in a storage crate that's kind of difficult to get to in Chris's droid building room.
Yeah. Wow. So all of those gears, they were functional.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, they were part of the drive, which is funny because afterwards I was so amped up, and for the photos with the various press that they bring in at DragonCon every year, they had music going and I was dancing, and Chris was like, stop dancing, you're gonna knock the gears out of alignment. I'm like, oh, but I'm excited and I'm dancing. He's like, stop.
I was like, stop it or you're gonna ruin all my hard work.
Yes. Yeah, so like that was one of the first times that we had ordered anything from Big Blue Saw, which is based in Atlanta. And that ended up being a little bit more expensive than we had intended because Big Blue Saw charges by the linear inch. So those gears, all of the little teeth.
Oh, no. Those are, wow.
Yeah. So we waited for there to be a sale. So check in at Big Blue Saw frequently because there's sales, and it's kind of the only way we can afford his stuff. But we had Big Blue Saw laser cut the PETG for the wasp wings. And we waited for there to be a sale because it was just, otherwise it's a little pricey.
So you're saying Big Blue Saw?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll put some links. I'll put some links, everybody. Links in the show notes for that. Oh, that's
Take
awesome.
all my sources. Take them.
Yes. Give them to me. So how heavy were those? Was that?
Those ones are about 14 pounds.
Okay, so
So
heavier than wasp
yeah,
wings.
so we had to build a thick pad on the back. I had heavily padded, thank God for Steampunk, because there was no way to disguise all this. I had heavily padded straps, and then we had to put an additional kidney pad that went from the back of the wings and braced on my lower back, because there was no way to keep it all that high up on my back.
Sure.
But the nice thing is the kidney pad also kind of pushes the wing fans away from my backside. The problem I find that I have a lot with wings is, how do I say, I am bootylicious.
Yeah.
And so everything bounces. And so like with the wasp wings, when I walk, I have, and this is why we're doing 2.0, because I want to redesign the wings. I walk with my hands behind my back, with my fingers kind of tented out, pushing the wings away from my from my tush when we're walking, because otherwise it could damage everything.
Oh, well,
yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't run into that because mine were sticking straight out.
So instead, you just have to worry about hitting everybody else. I worry about hitting myself. You worry about hitting everybody else. I think your way is the smarter way to do it.
I don't know. I had little wings, so I could like exchange my big wings, but I had to have somebody do it because I just had some, what are they called? Screws. Screws. Yeah. Some screws that you could undo and remove them. Very low tech.
Well, and that's kind of what we're going for in this next round with the Fidlocks in the carbon fiber pack. Is I want to have a stunt pack where it's just little tiny fake wings that don't do anything and are just in another backpack, and I can just trade them out. Because with these ones right now, I can't sit down.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
No. So I need to sit down.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I wanted to ask you, how comfortable were your shoes? Mine were awful.
They're actually really comfortable. I've been pretty adamant about having comfortable footwear. I made a Leah snowsuit several years ago, and I used nursemate shoes as the base, but the style I wanted, I could only find it in a half a size too small.
Oh no.
Yes. So I have to wear I can't wear socks. I have to wear nylon. Never again.
Cut your toenails.
Yes, I cut my toenails way down. Oh God, that's. Which I always try and get a mani-pedi before con as a way to like calm down from the stress of getting ready for con. I go get my nails done, and I hate shoes like that because I'm like, no, I just got my toes done. Oh man.
Well, that's like no joke. That's actually, I had a pair, okay, not to get like too graphic or anything, but I had a pair of hiking boots. I went to the Tetons one summer eons ago, and my hiking boots were a little too small, and then they were new on top of that. And we went hiking, and I forget which trail it was, but it was like a 7-mile hike. I thought it was a mile hike. No, it was like a 7-mile hike. And it was like up and then down and then up and then down. And I had damaged my toenails, which I didn't realize was a thing until I did it. It was awful. So be nice to your feet. Yeah, I say that. And like the wasp boots that I had, I was going for height. I wanted a platform. So those were a little bit of a platform, but I probably could have had like a size too big. I got my size, which was, I think, a bad idea. I think I should have gotten a like the next size up, just so I could have a little more room for those, for my feet to swell. And expand. It's a thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, there was one year we went to Disney for my friend's wedding. I was the officiant in their flash mob wedding in front of the Haunted Mansion.
And what? That sounds fun.
That's a whole other story. And it was around Food and Wine Festival. And the first day we got there, I didn't realize how much my feet swell after I fly or when I've been on my feet all day and imbibing. I had to buy shoes at the Japanese pavilion at Epcot because the shoes I wore, like I went to the first aid station. I borrowed clippers. I tried wearing, I bought a pair of sandals in the Moroccan pavilion and they were awful. Got to Japan, bought another pair, and was like, this is my life now. I have to wear gaita around Disney now.
Yeah.
Awful.
Wow. Yeah.
Good night. Yeah. No.
And that's
Swelling
like
is real, folks. Swelling is real.
and like your footwear, once your footwear fails, it's like you're done. You can't, you just can't. You can't anymore. Well, hey, we're totally
off track.
We're totally getting off track here. So let's go back to the wings and how they work. So did you already tell me? You didn't already tell me how you got those, like what the control was for that, because it was a slightly different
for the Steampunk ones. Yeah. So the Steampunk ones ran on an Arduino. And to anybody who ends up watching the video later, Grant Imahara reads a description that we put together that talks about Arduino. It talks about the serial cable. So with that one, that was the iPhone app control. Okay. And the iPhone app was really just a user interface to be kind of cool. It just sent two different character lines to the Arduino. One was literally OPEN, telling it to open, and the other was COOSE, telling it to close. I actually had to think about the spelling of that.
All right.
That's and the iPhone app just made it a pretty interface. We were able to just kind of make it look good. The downside of doing an iPhone to do app control on an iPhone, I don't know how it is on Android or Google phones. But iOS apps, if they're not published through the Apple Store, which we didn't because we didn't want to have to pay for it, once the OS updates, the app dies. So bummer. So that worked for about 2 years, and then I upgraded the OS on my phone, and we had to install a dead switch on the wings so that in the future when I wore them, we tried to do it on like a long cable that I could still put on that bracer, but the cable wasn't working very well or whatever. So we stuck another one so that when I would pose and then like have the gun out and have my hands at like kind of a parade rest. And I could have my thumb, so like my hand is like this, my thumb could hit the button that was hidden underneath the wings. Kind of still gave the same effect. Yeah. But no more app.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I'm still going to go look it up because it sounds kind of neat. Definitely like a practical thing. And Arduino stuff I still have to delve into, but that's next on my list of things to check out. For
Adafruit is a great resource for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you found it if you started searching for Arduino. But it's adafruit.com. And she has put like all of the resources for it into one place, all of the stuff that you'll need. She's got tutorials about the coding, which is immensely helpful for me because I'm not a coder. But it's literally like copy paste, and then she's like, and then in this tutorial, it'll tell you how to tweak it to do what you need, which is
that's awesome.
Yes, she's
God
wonderful.
bless the internet and tutorials and people who are willing to share. That is amazing. Well, awesome. So let's see. So we talked about that, and then you had also sent me another video from another Dragon Con costume. Let me pull it up.
This was one of my personal favorites. It doesn't have wings though. It's not wings.
But it's still, we're still talking about themed things moving.
So this one still has an Arduino control, and we had to watch the film clip dozens and dozens of times, which, oh dang. But we figured out how many times it was supposed to turn, and then we ratcheted it down. So at the end, it was like the music box was coming to a stop.
Here, I'm going to start. I'm going to start from the beginning here. Yeah.
Sure. We had to make sure that I stopped facing forward. So if anybody who hasn't seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is watching this, please go watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It is an adorable Dick Van Dyke, Sally Ann Howe film from the 60s.
That is so cute.
And so my husband and I always wanted to do these costumes, and we thought if we're going to do them, we're going to do them. And so we put this together.
Holy cow. This is amazing. Okay, so if you are only listening to this episode, what can you describe what we're watching here?
So we are watching the scene of the Dick Van Dyke marionette doll and the Sally Ann Howe clockwork doll. And so you've got the sound muted, but there's a whole song, and it's a little duet that the two of them sang while she is doing a very stilted kind of clockwork dance on this music box. So I'm spinning around and around slowly, thankfully. And Dick Van Dyke, otherwise known as Caractacus Potts, is dancing around singing a song called Truly Scrumptious, which is the name of the character I was dressed up as. And the part we're at now, he just looks in the mirror and realizes what he looks at. And so then I have to hit him, be like, no, pay attention. Yeah, the greater scene that this is going on, they're trying to fool a despotic ruler who has kidnapped Dick Van Dyke's kids. Oh man, the book that this film was based on was written by the same guy who wrote all of James Bond.
Oh, what?
To give you an idea.
Wow.
I know, it's such a hugely varied repertoire from this author.
Yeah, wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you just hop on off.
Oh,
that's so great.
Yeah, big acrylic mirrors to kind of give a big reveal. And but I figured that with talking about the technically operated wings, just to kind of give another idea of like, here's some more stuff that Arduino can do in costumes. Okay. Coincidentally, the circumference of the platform I was standing on is the same circumference as an R2-D2 dome.
What? Oh, that's weird. I wonder how that came into play.
I wonder if we had a lazy Susan that was extra from when we built an R2.
Cool.
Maybe,
so yeah, tell me about the components and how you got that platform to spin and also to hold the weight of a person.
Oof, right. So that one was built almost entirely by Chris, but I do know that he did it the same as they do the drive in the R2-D2 dome. So if anybody has gone to a convention and seen an R2-D2 being driven around, which most of the guys are really good about hiding the controller behind their back and driving it without anybody knowing that they're there. I never realized the level of puppetry that goes into driving an R2-D2, but now that I work for what started as a puppetry company, I'm really starting to appreciate it. Mm-hmm. So it'll inside of there, you've got this big lazy 18-inch diameter lazy Susan, and then on the inner diameter of the lazy Susan, we've got another ring that has a rubber drive belt. Thank you. I forgot the word belt. It has another gasket, a rubber gasket around it, and it's connected to another drive belt that's connected to the motor. So down in the base of that is just a little motor, the Arduino motor controller, a battery. That one is really as simple as it comes. The programming in that was purely figuring out how many revolutions I needed to make at what speed and making sure that it ratcheted down as I approached the end and was facing forward. So in comparison to the wings that we had made 2 years prior, it was a cakewalk, but the result was so impactful in that costume. Just to that whole just come to a close, stop.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
and then
it was a lot of fun.
And at the beginning, because at the beginning you see it starts and then it stops, and then he fake kicks it, and then so was that also programmed into the performance of it?
It was, and thank you for reminding me because I actually completely forgot about that. Shame on me. So yeah, we programmed in the initial start. I'm actually in a rotating chair so I can do this. So I'm standing there, and we programmed in the start, so it starts a little and stops, and we programmed it in so that like Chris physically turns the key that's on the front of it, and there's a big red button on the corner. So as he's turning that key, he hits the button, and that's the go button. And we put it there because it was also the emergency stop, where if I was going to fall, I could hit that with my foot.
Okay. Yeah. Important. And safety first.
Yeah, because I was 2.5 feet off the ground, and I couldn't look down. So it starts and it stops, and there was a certain amount of time that it knew to count. And then it starts again, and the whole thing. The aspect of that performance that was based entirely on, that one depended on Chris, because he had to listen to the track to know, okay, here's where we're at, and now I kick the box.
Okay.
So that one was more him. I just had to learn it dance.
Yeah. But still, that was amazing. Your emotions were perfect and spot on, by the way.
So you remember how I told you I spent all that time in the hotel room making the wasp?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing that same day learning the dance. I procrastinated and did not.
What? Well, you made it look really
Procrastination
good.
queen.
Well, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. We are running out of time.
Sure.
But I think we talked about your steampunk wings, the wasp wings, which I honestly could continue talking to you about for like forever. Yeah, I've always wanted to make that costume again, like a second time, but I'm not sure that I can because I have all those reference pictures. I don't know. Marvel is very, very protective of their IP and everything for good reasons. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Believe me, I get it. I had that first, like we tried to schedule this before, then I was like, I got to push it. The guy who was trying to figure out what I was and was not allowed to talk about had just put in his notice and was taking a job elsewhere. And so and I'm just like, Henry, I need to know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, that's okay.
Believe me, I get it, but they gave me a list of things I'm allowed to talk about.
Sure. I totally understand. Well, hey, I'm going to share one more thing because it's the last video that you just shared with me today. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to share this picture. So this was taken, I'm guessing at Dragon Con because I recognize that evening lighting.
Yeah, that was while you were at the big shoot with the Marvel folks, but after it was on the same deck where the large group photo had been, and then like half of the people went to the one that Making Marvel was doing.
Yeah.
We hung back just because of the giant crowd, and there was a group of, what would you call a group of ant-men?
An army of ant-men. I don't know. That's not very.
A squad of Scots.
A squad of Scots. Okay,
I
like that one way better.
There was a squad of Scots that were like, come get a picture. And I'm like, oh okay, I'll go this way. Can't hear anything with the helmet on. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And we're, like shiny.
Yeah. Oh, tell me about it. So I had, my helmet was made by Eric Jones from Core Geek. And that helmet was beautiful and it was amazing. And you guys need to go to his page to check it out. But I couldn't hear anything either with that helmet on. And so when we were doing our, they had me standing in front of everybody standing up on the steps. And they were trying to get us to all do the same motion at the same time. Like, look over here and pose, and look over here and pose. And I couldn't hear anything and the guy wasn't like making any motions to like direct us. So I think at one point I did it the wrong way. And so I think they did it again. And I don't know, it worked. But I will say this, my wings, because they stuck out straight. At one point I was back in the crowd when they had like Thanos and Black Widow out in front, because we couldn't be filmed together at the same time, because at that point we weren't in the same universe together, in the Marvel universe. Endgame hadn't come out yet. All the people that I was standing with, I was hitting them with my wings nonstop. But they were so wonderful and so nice. Thank you, everybody who was there. Thanks for not hating me forever for all of that. But yeah, helmets. Can't hear very much.
And we're just getting a repeat of that with all the masks. The number of times I have to look at coworkers and be like, I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Well, awesome. Yeah, totally. Maybe I keep telling myself I can't wait for these days to be behind us, but I feel like they're going to be with us for a little bit. So we might as well just adapt for the time being.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being here and spending the time and talking to me about all this stuff. It's been really interesting. And I've got my list of things that I'm going to go look up, and I will, listeners and watchers, I'll include some links to some of the things that we talked about. But if anybody wanted to follow your work, is there a way to do that? Anything online or?
I've got my Instagram. I'm General Leah, spelled Leah, on Instagram because, you know, Princess Leia got a promotion, so I might as well have as well.
That's right.
But I mean, I have a public figure Facebook page, but it's more for the acting that I did, and even then, there's not a whole lot going on it right now since I took this job. So yeah, just mostly on Instagram when I work on things that I'm allowed to post progress photos of.
Yeah. That's the thing. Does your husband's Instagram page have any of these things on it?
It does. He actually ends up usually being my photographer and videographer because he knows that I like to be in the center of things. And I believe his Instagram is Hey, it's Chris Lee.
Yeah, I think you're right. I love that name so much. That's great.
Well, like his email is The Real Chris Lee. And I'm like, oh, Chris.
That's pretty great, though. That's pretty great. Well, thank you again. This has been really, really fun. I'm so glad that I finally got more than just like a few minutes of convention time to talk to you about the WASP, because I've been looking forward to that ever since 2018. So,
right.
So thanks.
Right.
Thanks for being
I don't
here.
get out to the West Coast as much as I would like. Which is unfortunate because I love it up there in the Pacific West.
Yeah, it's like it's beautiful weather. It's just hopefully we'll have conventions again, and then maybe you can come on out. That'd be awesome. And hopefully awesome. I can come out to JackandCon and we can hang out there.
Yeah. If you come next year, you'll get to see me in my final year in the Miss Star Trek Universe pageant. I'm going to make ice cream on stage with a fire extinguisher.
What? Okay.
I'm going to do it this year, but everything's canceled.
Oh my God.
I've entered 9 years in a row as Deanna Troi, and I've lost 9 years in a row as Deanna Troi. I am determined.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Okay, well, stay tuned, everybody. Keep an eye out for that. Hopefully next year.
It's going to be
great.
Cross
my fingers for you. Both fingers crossed.
Thank you. It's going to be great.
Well, listeners and watchers, thank you so much for being here, and please subscribe and follow everybody's work. And if you want to check out Leah's work, you can find her online, or Hey, it's Chris Lee on Instagram, and I'll put some links and everything. And that's it for now. Thanks again so much.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to hopefully doing it again soon, if not in person.
Definitely. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks everybody. See you next time.